Ahoy, footy fans! Welcome back for another preview video, and I've brought with me a very special guest for the first time this year, the Old Panther. Old Panther, how are you?
Yeah, good, Dan. Yeah, good to be here.
Part of the reason why we brought you in, other than to just catch up with you, of course, part of the reason is because Thursday night, round 6 kicks off. It's your team, the Penrith Panthers, and whispers around social media are they're destined for the wooden spoon.
yeah, well, it's a bit early to start writing teams off, isn't it?
Very much so.
A lot of people have been doing that. I did mention to you before we came to do this that I've actually stopped following Facebook groups that follow the Panthers because there's just been so much negativity and carry on, and the young blokes that are on these Facebook pages just got no idea what Penrith went through to get to this point in history. But you just don't write teams off this early.
Absolutely
not.
And
we've got some stats there to talk about later if you want to.
The Panthers have obviously gone through a little bit of a bad trot. I'm suggesting that ends this week, this Thursday night against the Dolphins. I've tipped the Panthers, and I've tipped the Panthers to win quite comprehensively or quite comfortably. And this will be the start of their turnaround. Now, my theory's been that they're in the situation they're in. They haven't had the same team on the park for 2 weeks in a row yet. So it's a bit early to be writing anybody off this early in the season. And there's been quite a few teams that have done, well, exactly this, started poorly and gone on to have still quite a good season.
Well, yeah, they've done similar. And that's a good point that you raise about the consistency of the team selections. Penrith just haven't had a settled team yet. And this weekend, Edwards has been named. And I think one of the big difference is going to be Scott Sorensen coming back. It's going to take a lot of pressure off Leota and Martin. Of course, when you look at his work rate in games, there's a lot of support play that he does that the others don't do, and he's just there. He turns up when he's needed. So I think he's going to make a big difference. And, I agree with you. I think this is the game that Penrith turn around and they start winning. I hope so, because I've got a trade on them at the moment, which is in the negative.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will point out about that too, this young Liam Henry, he's a big forward, only 23 years old. He's still learning his trade, and he's coming off the bench. And I think it's going to be a good one for Penrith.
You reckon a smoky for any time try, or?
I don't know about the try scoring. I think he has scored one or two. But, yeah. Did you want to go through some of these? Points from previous years.
Yeah, let's go through to just to reinforce to some of the naysayers.
I did some checking. 2003, Penrith won the premiership that year against the Roosters, and they won only one game in the first four, and then they won 8 straight. Lost to the Storm, then won another 5 consecutive games. But they went on and won the premiership after a poor start. I checked out 2009. Parramatta won only 2 of their first 7 games. And then they won 7 consecutive games twice in the season and ended up being beaten by the Storm in the grand final. 2011, the Warriors won only 2 of their first 6, so they got to the grand final. They got beaten by Manly. 2014, Souths won only 1 of their first 4, and then won the grand final against the Bulldogs. Now, this is interesting, Dan. 2015, the Cowboys. That was the one where they won the grand final against Brisbane. The Cowboys lost their first 3 that year. They then lost only twice in their next 17 games. And those 2 losses were both against the Sharks, who then went on and won the premiership the following year. So And then in 2023, Penrith won only one of their first three and won the competition again that year. So
Yeah.
it's early days to be writing teams off and to be puffing teams up too much.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up about the Melbourne Storm then.
Well, I think they're the team to beat, aren't they? And there's another major point to bring up about this, that Nathan has been to see Mary Fowler.
Oh, okay.
He watched her play in the game the other night, so he'll be a lot more contented.
Right. Reckon he's had a little bit of a release.
I think so. Yep. I think he would have got quite excited at the soccer the other night.
All right, so we're in agreement. Panthers to defeat the Dolphins on Thursday night.
Yes.
Then we switch over. We've got a double header on Friday night. The Dragons versus the Titan. Nothing too much to get excited about there in that one. I dare say, though, the Dragons for the win. I like the look of the Dragons this year, actually. Not as a premiership threat, but Shane Flanagan is obviously, I believe, a fantastic coach. I mean, why would I not love Shane Flanagan? He's taken the Sharks to the only premiership they ever won. So he knows what to do with the troops that he's got available. And I think he's just formed a real solid, gritty team there. And I think the Dragons will be too good for the Titans in that one.
They've done well. King Gutho, he's been playing well, hasn't he? And I've always liked Cook as a player.
Yes,
and
especially in a sky blue jersey.
Yeah, and but my heart's gone with the Titans.
Right.
Yeah, because I think Desi will be able to constrain himself and not knock any doors off their hinges. Since it's down at Wollongong.
Yes.
I think he'll be more in tune with the team.
Mm. And the Titans, they're a bit. They're traditionally up and down. So maybe they've had their down game. And that's the problem. They're one of those teams that are just impossible to pick because you don't know. Are you going to get the up week or are you going to get the down week? Very hard team to pick. So, Dragon, Titan.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree.
Friday night, where else but Suncorp, right? Broncos to take on the Roosters in the rematch. Now, I find this very interesting. So the Roosters have dropped Chad Townsend. The Chad is gone skis. They've had enough. And in fairness, he was never really brought in to run the team anyway. He was a little bit of a stopgap. The Roosters, they've made the hard call there, or, well, hard on him as a person. It certainly wasn't difficult in a rugby league sense to drop him and go with one of their youngsters. So I'm very interested to see how that one will pan out. Now, this is where I'm interested to see if you agree with me. I'm not sold on the Broncos under Madge. I don't see, apart from the fact, obviously, the Roosters aren't traveling along that well, obviously. But the Roosters, they were better the other week. Almost beat the Rabbitohs. They did beat the Panthers. They've looked okay in a couple of games. Obviously, that match against the Broncos earlier on, round one, I think it was, that was a blip on the radar. And these odds that I want to draw attention to, Brisbane Broncos $1.18 favourites, the Sydney Roosters $5 outsiders with a 15.5 line. I mean, a 15.5 line is basically just giving away money, isn't it? I mean, I'm happy when the bookies give away money. $1.98 Roosters to cover the line. That's my tip.
Well, there's one thing that I've learnt this year, Dan, and that's not to argue with you about your selections and your tips because you've done exceptionally well. You certainly didn't get that talent off me in the genes anywhere.
Okay, did you miss the part where I said you're in the top 5 of the tipping contest? I'm currently building my way up from pretty much, I was down in 70th a couple of weeks ago, and I appreciate that I have now gone and picked up a couple of upsets, and I'm up in the top 30 now, I believe, but still, you're well ahead of me. But anyway, do carry on.
Yeah, well, actually, I've been quite impressed with the Broncos this year.
Oh,
as much as as much as I hate to admit it, I think they'll knock off the Roosters.
But by 15.5?
The 15.5. That's worth a go, isn't it?
For $1.98.
Yeah, because
15.5 lines don't come around very often for top teams.
And the Broncos haven't actually slaughtered too many teams of late, have they? Really? I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
but they haven't. It hasn't been a continuous thing.
They're still finding their feet as well. In fairness,
they're only young blokes. The halfback,
11 of them.
Because his name's gone.
Oh, is it?
Out of my head.
Oh, Adam Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Not out of the team sheet.
That happens, Dan, when you get to my age sometimes. Yeah, Adam Reynolds. Yeah, he's sort of had a new lease on life, hasn't he? And I think, we got to see something of what the Broncos could do back in 2023. They fell off the radar a bit last year, but yeah, I think they'll be up there. I think they'll knock the Roosters off.
And by 15
but I like your 15.5, yeah.
15.5 seems crazy to me. Understandably, though, it is at Suncorp, and there is the Suncorp factor to take into consideration. So, yeah, Suncorp factor's probably worth 8 points. I reckon the Roosters cover the line, though. A young half, enthusiastic to get out there and show his wares, especially when the veteran who underperforming Chad has been set aside. So the young guys these days, I mean, they don't get overawed, do they?
Well, that's debatable. I think Casey McLean got overawed.
We'll be talking about him. We will be talking about him, not in depth, but he's going to get a mention in the Cowboys game for sure, which is not too far away. So I've gone Rooster. I'm actually going to tip Rooster to win. Definitely tipping them to cover the line at the very least.
Yep.
And you're going Bronco at home.
Yep.
Saturday. Now, Saturday's live streams, I'll only be doing the one game, just so you're aware. I will be celebrating my birthday. So just the one game, and I'll do the Sharks Manly game, despite the fact, it might seem a bit weird, that on my birthday, I will be watching my team get decimated before my very eyes. But this is another interesting one on the odds, because if I bring up the odds here, the Sharks, now I realised that Manly did just get beaten quite soundly by Melbourne Storm, but they got beaten by the Melbourne Storm. Sharks just lost to Canberra, and you know what I say, no disrespect to the Raiders, but, I mean, if you lose to the Raiders, I don't understand how you can be the favourites the following week, despite the fact that Manly did get absolutely tonked by the Storm, and they're still going to be without Tommy Turbo. But Lehigh Hopewade, he's a more than capable replacement. But the Sharks are $1.48 favourites. Manly are paying $2.65. $2.65 is a hell of a good value on Manly. Manly, who traditionally, I would say, knock the Sharks over more often than not.
Well, they've met twice in grand finals, haven't they? And Manly won both, I think.
They did. Absolutely, they did. Because it was 2016 that I got to experience a Sharks grand final, and that's been the only one. If we don't count Super League. I don't think that we do.
We don't count that.
We don't count that, yeah. But I find these odds bewildering, and just like before, it's, Manly at $2.65 has surely got to be tempting. I mean, this isn't even a home game for the Sharks. It's listed as a home game, but this is one of the ones that's over in Perth at Optus Stadium. So that'll be another thing. Now the Sharks did win the last time that they played at Optus Stadium. They beat the Rabbitohs. But I can't back the Sharks at the moment. I just can't. There's something seriously lacking there. And I think I know what it is. Would you like to see? So,
Good.
yeah.
I was going to pick them.
Oh. Well, would you? Maybe I can talk you out of it. You want to have a look at some footage here. So the Sharks are ahead by 2. They should have the game in control with 2 minutes left. 5th tackle. Canberra are playing the ball on the halfway line. Canberra, rather than kicking the ball, obviously they decide we've got nothing left to lose. We're going to go on a run. So ignoring the 1, 2, 3 missed tackles that still allowed him to get an offload away, the ball is offloaded back in field to Xavier Savage, who goes on a little bit of a dart. Now, if I pause it very specifically here, are you able to tell me what is wrong with this picture?
Well, apart from the staggered defensive line and 3 or 4 players over there on their knees on the other side of the field?
Exactly.
Is that what we're picking?
Exactly. Look at this. Well, not only do we have 1 shark, 2 sharks who haven't even got up yet after making the tackle, while they're on their knees in front of the guy who was tackled, who's already up and about. You've got 2 sharks. You've got this guy who's just gone, up, the ball's over that side of the field. No need for me to be involved. Oh, ball's over that side of the field. No need for me to be involved. We got this guy standing here with his hands on his hips, hands on hips. Oh, it's going over that side of the field. We're not involved. And I will give this guy here the benefit of the doubt because he's at least having a little bit of a trot to try and make it look like he's doing something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sharks out of the play now. They're just standing there watching because it doesn't involve us. What they should be doing, of course, obviously, is pushing across. All these guys should be pushing across, trying to get into some sort of position where they can assist with the play. So that's, what did I say, 7 sharks that are now out of the play. They haven't moved. They're all still there in the background as this play goes on. And look at the Raiders jerseys that we've got here as in comparison. 1 over here, 2, 3, 4. We won't count Xavier Savage who just kicked it, but 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 Raiders there, all pushing up, following the ball. The 3 defenders for the Sharks, and there is somebody off screen who's dropped back. That suggests to me just a real lack of heart and a real lack of urgency in the Sharks at the moment. Seven guys just went, this play doesn't involve me. You can't do that against Manly. I mean, Manly, as I said, they obviously got tonked by the Storm last round, but that's not going to happen again. Manly have won, I want to say 7. I want to say that they've won their last 7 games following a loss. Manly bounced back. Manly bounced back big. And at $2.65, I'm taking a piece of that personally.
Okay. I've heard the great Peter Sterling and more recently the mighty Luke Lewis have said that defence is a matter of attitude. Do you think those guys, they just thought they had the game wrapped up, or are they just not fit enough to carry on for the full 80 minutes?
I don't believe it's a fitness thing. I believe it is a mental thing. Like as soon as that kick was made, or as soon as that offload was made, and Xavier Savage started heading off on a 45-degree angle away from them, I think they basically just went, oh, that doesn't involve us now. That bounce of the ball, it could go anywhere. Like you've got to be pushing across. The fact that none of them got into the frame is just bewildering to me. I can't. For professional footy players, that just suggests it's an attitude thing for mine. Anyway, did I talk you out of him, or are you sticking with him?
No, I think I'll stick with the Sharks. I think that I think they probably had a rocket bent right up them over that. and I think they would. I think the coach probably Fitzgibbon probably made them watch that what you just showed. And,
straight after that, doubleheader in Perth. Rabbitohs versus the Cowboys. Injury ravaged Rabbitohs.
are they?
Oh, even worse than to start the year. Yeah, it's going to be a fresh halves pairing for the Rabbitohs, and Latrell's going to be playing 6. So that probably explains this discrepancy in the odds, where the Cowboys go into that game $1.75 favourites, the Rabbitohs $2.10. I'm not going to say it. I promised myself that I'm not going to say never underestimate a Wayne Bennett coach team. So I won't. But I do have the Rabbitohs sneaking that one.
Well, I wasn't really that impressed with the Cowboys last week because I think that was a game that got away from Penrith. Casey McLean passes the football and Penrith win. And if Paul Alamotti had trimmed his toenails, then Penrith would have won too. And I think that's one of those odd results, that one. I don't think...
Well, can I, whilst you're on that point, can I actually bring this up?
Sure.
So I'll start. We'll go in reverse order since we were just talking about it. But obviously this happened in the in the game. He's looking away. So Panthers created. Oh boy, this must be painful viewing. 2-on-1. Dead ducks here. Dead ducks. The Cowboys. And 5 minutes to go. 4 points the difference. Just pass it, Casey. Pass it, Casey. Pass it, Casey.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Now, what's interesting about that? Panthers win. Panthers score that try. They win. I think we're all in agreement over that because Nathan Cleary is... Jenkins, that was the fullback that got drawn in. Jenkins was going to run that ball around at least 10 metres, and Cleary is slotting that one. So that was round 5. If we go back to round 4, let's have a look at round 4. Game in the balance, 4 points the difference. A little bit longer to go on this occasion, and it's the Raiders in possession inside their own half. Little bobble of the ball there, but they move the ball out to the right, and they create themselves a little bit of space. Basketball pass over the top, and here comes Xavier Savage. Boom, off that right boot. Moves forward. Fullback about to come into frame. Pass it, Xavier. Pass it. Pass it. No. So that was the week before. Still 11 minutes to go, but the Raiders are in under the post there and probably win the game. And the Cowboys are 0-5. And Todd Payton's probably losing his job. I suggest that Todd Payton owes Casey McLean and Xavier Savage a case of beer each. Those two highlights are just two small parts of a bigger picture, aren't they? But if they throw those passes, Cowboys lose both of those games, in my opinion. And so they're not going along as well as one might have you believe. And I just can't fathom those odds. $1.75, $2.10. I've got the Bunnies winning that one, even though they are so injury ravaged. Latrell was basically playing in the halves for the whole back end of that game the other week against the Roosters, and he essentially won the match for them. So I don't think that they're, as long as Latrell stays fit and interested, and I imagine that he will, because nobody would want to go into the changing rooms and try to explain to Wayne Bennett why you didn't put 110% into the game. So I've got the Rabbitohs winning that one.
We agree.
Super Saturday rounds out with the Eels versus the Raiders. The big injury news for the Eels is Zachary Lomax is ruled out long term. He's busted. And what impact that will have on the Eels, who got their first win of the season last round. And the Raiders, who snuck home. Obviously, we saw that vision earlier of how the Raiders got home. It's up in Darwin. I may have to go for the Eels in this one, despite the Lomax injury.
Well, yeah, maybe. This is the last season that they'll be playing their game up in Darwin. I believe they didn't renew the contract to play this this one game up there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Mm.
Not sure about that.
And it's hard to say what the humidity is going to be. I'll go for the Raiders. I've got a liking for Ricky and his coaching, and
he's definitely a very good coach at getting something out of what he's got. He's in that coaching mold. He'll get the best out of what he's got available. That's for sure. But yeah, look, I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be a very close one. I would be looking at the market for either team 1 to 12. Although the Eels are paying $2.80, I'm actually pretty keen to get on that straight up. I think it'll be a lot closer than that. $2.80. That's obviously fluctuating from the news of Zach Lomax being out injured.
Yes.
Raiders
halfback. What's his name?
Fogarty. Jamal Fogarty.
He came from the Titans.
Yes.
Yes. I like the way he plays.
And he was awful. And he's
from the Titans.
In the Titans, yeah.
But he's been all right with Raiders.
Oh, he's been fantastic.
I'd say he's learned quite a lot from Ricky.
He's fantastic. He's got the best boot in the game.
So
I would say best kicking half in the game at the moment.
And their forwards are playing pretty well. Raiders.
Yes, Hudson Young's.
Oh. And they got a big pom too, haven't they?
Yeah, Matty Nicholson. You might have just talked me into going for the Raiders. I'll have a think about that. Look, I find that I usually regret it if I change my gut instinct, and my gut initially is saying, despite the Lomax injury, the market that I wanted to look up though is, I'll flash it up on the screen because I don't have it available for me right now. I'll flash it up on the screen for people viewing this back, but I reckon there is a market for either team 1 to 12. So it doesn't matter who wins as long as the margin is 1 to 12. That's what I'd be looking at for this game, I reckon. Sunday. Seedy Sunday. Storm versus the Warriors, 2:00. So how many are Melbourne winning by?
Yeah, well, I'll pick the Storm. It's hard to say with the Warriors, isn't it? Because they haven't really settled with their new additions to the team, have they? I think there was a lot of expectation with James Fisher-Harris that suddenly there'd be this extra muscle up front. One player doesn't necessarily change.
He hasn't quite kicked on, has he? Yet. No. I think he will. But yeah, he hasn't quite kicked on yet in his new colours.
And you don't know what's going on in the background, do you, with these blokes? Because the part of the reasoning for him leaving his contract with Penrith to go to the Warriors was because he's now become like one of the elders in the family clan, and you don't know what sort of pressure he's under outside the footy field, do you? And whether that's affecting his game or not. The Storm are very settled, aren't they?
Very much so. Yeah.
With their
especially
their team.
Now Jerome Hughes is back.
Yeah,
running the show, steering the ship. I tell you what, I do like though. I do like the 16.5 line for $1.90
over there in that's down in Melbourne. Yeah,
yeah.
And the Warriors have a good record against the Storm in Melbourne, though, don't they? At one stage,
well, not lately, but
but at one stage they were the only team pretty much that could beat them at Melbourne because of the similar, weather conditions.
38 points to 24 and 30 points to 26 in the last two previous meetings between these two teams. So I reckon that 16.5 line's looking pretty juicy.
Yeah.
For $1.90, but I would have to go Melbourne head to head.
Yep.
To get the win in a closer one than they're expecting. Sunday closes out in Newcastle, the Knights versus the Tigers in, once again, a really interesting odds. Newcastle Knights $1.65 favourites. Tigers $2.25. Knights have got quite a few absences to their team, so I can't really understand their huge favouritism in this game. I know that the Knights in Newcastle are a completely different beast to the Knights everywhere else, and I'm struggling to get my head around those odds. It's another one I'm struggling to get my head around, how they're such short-priced favourites. So Adam Elliott, Jack Cogger, Jack Hetherington, Jacob Saifidi, and James Schiller all out for the Knights. Guy Pearce-Paul does come back in. Does he come back into the starting squad? Yes, he does. But still, Phoenix Crossland is going to be playing 7. He usually plays 9. So injuries alone, I can't understand how the Knights are favourites for that. The Tigers have got Jerome Luai, Jarrell Skelton, and Samuela Fainu, just to name 3, back into the squad. They've got their starting spine back again. $2.25 outsider seems outrageous to me.
Is Jerome Luai back, is he?
He is, yes.
Yeah, well, don't understand that. Appy's playing?
Appy's playing.
Right, okay.
They've got their spine intact. Jareen Buller, Appy Coruscant, Lockie Galvin, and Jerome Luai. Unless the bookies have just lost faith after that pumping against the Broncos the other week that wasn't really a pumping. Like, the score blew out a little bit towards the end in that second half, or the 10 minutes before and after halftime. That's when it really got away from the Tigers, but they stayed in the fight to the end, and it wasn't even their full strength team. Back to full strength here, and Jarrell Skelton's as equally a big an in as Jerome Luai is, in my opinion, because that's where the Tigers have been lacking the past couple of losses that they've had, is really noticing the absence of Skelton. I can't see anything. I can't see anything but a Tigers victory.
Yeah, I'd be picking the Tigers with Luai back in. Had he been out injured, I'd possibly go for the Knights, but yeah, I think he makes a difference, doesn't he?
Even with all their injuries.
And he's got a combination going with Appy at the moment, hasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. They've reconnected.
Yep.
But yeah, even with the Knights' injury concerns, you still would have.
I would have only thought about it, but I'm going for the Tigers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
$2.25 Tigers. There's some good value in some of those odds this week. I don't mind it when the bookies give away money. Can't complain. Good for the rest of us. Oh, well, that is all the action coming up this weekend. So, as I said, I'll be streaming a majority of those games. It's just the Saturday that I'll be having off. Sharks, Manly, and then I'll have some people coming around to help celebrate my birthday. And then we'll be back on Sunday for all the action coming up. Let us know in the comments, what do you think? Who do you think's going to win? Are you going for head-to-head, or are you going margin? We'd love to hear from you in the comments below, all your selections. And, of course, if you're part of the Wasted World of Sports tipping comp, which is available at wastedsports.com.au/games, let us know how you're traveling in that. Let me know usernames and whatnot so I can look you up and see how far ahead or behind I am comparatively to yourselves out there. So, yes, let us know, and looking forward to all the action coming up in round 6, starting on Thursday night. Old Panther, thank you very much for your input and joining me here. And yeah, let's make it a more regular thing. I find that these tip videos, for me, it's always good to have somebody to bounce off of.
Well, you got to disagree occasionally, haven't you?
Oh, of course. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think this is going to be the the turnaround for Penrith anyway. That's the main one I'm interested in.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
And apart from the fact that I hate the Dolphins and the Storm.
Anyone else? Para?
Well, it depends who Penrith plays.
Yeah.
On that weekend.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So your first appearance of the year, and hopefully not the last.
Hopefully.
And we'll catch you guys
We'll have to talk about pay rates.
Yeah. I'll see you guys Thursday night. Dolphins, Panthers. Until then, cheers.